Welcome to another episode of Hope and Homeschool. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button. We'd love for you to join us on our homeschool journey. But today I'm going to address one of the biggest questions, or the most frequent questions I get asked when people are kind of starting their homeschool journey or they're thinking about homeschooling. And that is, Lindsay, my spouse doesn't think that we should homeschool. How can I convince them that we should? Okay, so I am going to answer this question, and I want you to know that I'm actually coming from a place of experience. When I decided that I wanted to be a homeschooler, my husband was not on board with that. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly how you feel. You maybe feel like you have zero support. You're already a little anxious about homeschooling anyway. You know with everything in you that it's the thing that you should be doing. And you're like, okay, but how do I get my spouse on board? Maybe you felt like you were hearing from, whether you think it's God or the universe or whatever, that this is what you're supposed to be doing. And you're like, God wouldn't be telling me to do this if I wasn't supposed to do this, right? So how do we get our spouse on board? Okay, so number one, stop shoving it down their throat. Rule number one of sales, and that's what you're doing, is selling something. You're selling an idea. You're selling them on a way of life. This is sales. Rule number one of sales, you must create a buying experience. What does that mean? That means you can't be shoving it down their throat. My business coach, and yes, I actually have a business coach. She's like a business parenting / money coach. Her name is Danny Johnson. But something that she says is, people love to buy, people hate to be sold. It's really no different than scrolling Facebook and seeing people with their posts of, hey, buy my product. By you saying, hey, we really need to homeschool, hey, we really need to homeschool, and talking to them about homeschool 24/7. That's what's important to you right now. That's probably not what's important to them. You're not going to sell them on homeschooling if you're shoving it down their throat. Number two, this one is also something I learned when I learned sales, and that is to disarm. What does that mean? Take the pressure off. So something that I did is I tried to create an experience where my husband could get comfortable with the idea of homeschooling without him actually having to make the decision to be a homeschooler. What do I mean? When I first decided that I wanted to homeschool, my daughter was getting ready to go from preschool into kindergarten. It was springtime, and so she was still enrolled in a private preschool, but at this point I knew I wanted to homeschool. My husband wasn't on board. So what I did was I disarmed him. I let him experience homeschooling without shoving it down his throat, and created an experience where he could sell himself. So what I did is I said, hey, I am going to practice homeschooling this summer because I don't even know if it's going to be a good fit, but I would like to try it out just to see how it goes. So what did this do? This disarmed him. This totally took the pressure off. He wasn't having to make the decision of our kid not going to kindergarten the next year. So what I did is I got some really inexpensive curriculum, because let's be real, it's just kindergarten. And so I started homeschooling, and I made sure that it was a good experience. So like when he came home from work, I wasn't all stressed out talking about how the homeschool day didn't go great. I made sure to highlight what I was enjoying about homeschool. I let him experience what our kids were learning. And he got to see firsthand, number one, that his wife was enjoying the homeschool process, because when it came to it, one of his biggest objections was that I was going to hate it. He was worried that it was going to put too much stress and pressure on me. And so when he could see that that wasn't happening, that immediately took that objection away from him. He was also worried that our kids might get behind. But when he saw the fruit of what was happening and how much our daughter was learning, then it started to become his idea. Number three, the close. Again, this is a sales technique. So when it was getting towards the end of the summer, I didn't go up to my husband and say, hey, what do you think about homeschooling? No, 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 no. That is not what I said. Rule number 1 of sales, you never say, what do you think about it? I said, dear husband of mine, okay, maybe didn't say that. I said, what do you like about what you've seen with me homeschooling? Why? Because it framed his mind to what he likes about it. And so he told me all the things that he likes about homeschooling. And then again, I disarmed him. I took the pressure off. And then I said, would you be okay with me attempting to homeschool kindergarten? I did not say, do you care if we become homeschoolers? Why? That seems more permanent. If I said, do you care if I attempt to homeschool kindergarten? I even said, I highly doubt that I could screw up kindergarten. What that did is that took the pressure off. I made it so that we were just gonna try this out for a while. It was not gonna be permanent. Money back guarantee. This is so, I learned how to close my husband on homeschooling based on my sales experience. In sales, you give people a money back guarantee. Why? Because it takes the pressure off. If they don't like it, there's always a way out. And if people know that there's a way out, they're more likely to go in. And so I said, do you care if I attempt to homeschool kindergarten? And then if we don't like it, we can always put her back into public school. And he was like, sure. And the rest, my friend, is history. Now, if you're watching this and you're like, Lindsay, that seems a lot like manipulation. First of all, my husband has had the exact same sales training that I have. He knew exactly what I was doing. Number 2, trying to shove it down somebody's throat and guilting them into homeschooling is actually manipulation. But if you can create an experience for somebody where they can ease into them and you're honoring them in that process, that, my friend, is not manipulation. That is honoring somebody. Doing something because they feel comfortable doing it. So there you go. I really hope that that helps somebody. If you haven't already, give this a like, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you next time.